Russell, what percentage do you put at him coming back? Is it just like if they can get Kyrie, or is it like no matter what, we are going to find a way to maneuver around D'Angelo Russell being the lead guard here?
I'd probably put it like 65% that he's back. So, more than half. I think that's the most likely scenario. I do think for the Lakers, if there is a way to sign and trade him and get something back, again, a Kyrie, a Trae Young, a Fred VanVleet, I think all those are pipe dreams. Maybe Fred VanVleet's the most realistic. But if they can swing one of those three guys or someone of that caliber, I think they do it in a heartbeat and they move on. But there just really isn't a market for D'Angelo Russell right now. I think if you look at, his recent history in the playoffs, again, the up and down nature of his performance in 2023, but also even his Minnesota stuff. And then I think his reputation has kind of taken a hit since Brooklyn, particularly, in LA and Minnesota. And he's just no longer viewed as the former number 2 pick, former All-Star. Like I think it's viewed as like he's probably a below average starting point guard and probably more in that like 20 to 30 range if you're ranking guys. And so like I just don't think there's much of a market for him. If you look at the teams that have cap space, it's all young teams that have young backcourts that are developing or have high draft picks in this upcoming draft that could be taking a guard there. So I just don't really see a clear suitor for him in free agency. So on one hand, that helps the Lakers in terms of leverage with him, where I think his contract's going to be less than he thinks it is going to be or should be. I think I could see something more in like the 18 to 20 million range annually, whereas he was looking for something more 25, 30 million. That had been previously reported about his time in Minnesota, but also I'd kind of heard murmurs when he was acquired by the Lakers at the trade deadline that those are kind of the numbers he was looking at. But I just don't see how he has the leverage to ask for that. I don't see how he has the leverage for the Lakers to accept that demand. And so I think for the Lakers, it's exploring sign-in trades. What can we get back for him? If we attach potentially a first-round pick or a young asset, and then if there's nothing really out there, which is what I suspect they will find, aside from maybe VanVleet, then I think it's most likely just keeping D'Lo, but at a more reasonable cost, because with the new CBA, every dollar is going to matter.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like basketball Twitter, everyone talking about the new CBA, and like this, a lot of capologists now have popped up. And Jovan, I'm not gonna lie, I see this, and now if I ever want to like really come across as an NBA knower, I need to just be like, look, with the new CBA coming into the fold, every dollar counts. Like, look,
you can just dismiss anything. And
be like,
use the new CBA.
You don't get it. It's the new CBA.
It is though, like I think it is going to be interesting to see how this changes team building, because the penalties are so strict for teams above the luxury tax. And like there's kind of the sweet spot, not to nerd out too much, but like with the projected luxury tax of 162, if you're kind of in that first tier of 162 to 169, you're just going to get kind of the typical luxury tax penalties. But if you get between 169 and 179, that's the first apron. Then all of a sudden you start to get all these penalties. Then if you go over the 179, or I guess it's 179.5, the second apron, all of a sudden it's like, can't take back more money in trades, can't sign guys in the buyout market, can't trade picks 7 years out. Like, it's some crazy stuff that actually like really matters, where if you're looking at how you build a team, like, is signing that guy, if you're the Warriors, is signing the Dante DiVincenzo worth not being able to get a buyout guy or not being able to get more money back in? Like, probably not. So you're going to start to see, I think that the middle class of the NBA is really going to get squeezed here. And it's really going to become a bunch of top heavy rosters where like 2 to 4 guys are paid 15 plus million. And then the rest of the guys are battling for scraps of like vet minimum up to like 5-7 million. So I think for the Lakers, like
more movement too. On that
more movement for sure. But like for the Lakers, that I think that matters, where it's like if you have LeBron and AD, they're making a combined 87 million next year. You're trying to keep Austin Reeves. You're trying to keep Rui Hachimura. All of a sudden, like just with those 4 guys, you're probably at let's just say 115. You're like now you add in D'Angelo Russell wants to be getting paid 20 plus million, and that's without, you got to fill out a roster, and you're going to have
Shredder back.
Yeah, so like it's just, it adds up quickly, and again, the penalties, like there's just gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna look at it like the difference between player X at 5 million, 10 million versus a free agent that's a veteran minimum guy isn't big enough to warrant all these penalties that come with this. So like, you're just going to see a lot of guys get screwed where, and I'm sure it'll end up kind of, there's always kind of a unintended consequence where I could also just see like, it might end up being, we've seen sometimes with the way that the new CBA is, or, recently the new CBA has gone where guys will leave bigger markets maybe for more money in a smaller market, and like markets maybe aren't as important as they used to be. I could see the opposite kind of becoming true now where it's like, well, if I'm going to get paid the vet minimum, why would I not want to be in a better city? Like, now it doesn't really matter. Like, why would I want to be in city X or Y when I could be in city A or B? So I think you could also see markets and just like lifestyle kind of come back into the fold where if the money's even, I think those types of things start to matter more than I think the way the CBA was previously set up.
Great news for Oklahoma City. And that nightlife scene, like,
and they got a bunch of dudes that like they can't keep all those guys.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I like it. NBA Finals, Jovan. Where are you leaning right now after watching the Nuggets dismantle the Los Angeles Lakers in 4 games? Do you think it's Nuggets in 4 again? Do you think it's Nuggets in 5, or are you more like Nuggets takes a while to 7, or do you think the Heat can actually? Because I don't see Heat in like 4 or 5. Like I don't think that's a possibility. I think if it's a short series, it's the Nuggets, and if it's a long series, then maybe you can talk yourself into it. But also, there have been exactly 0 teams that have won the NBA Finals as an 8th seed. And if there's one thing the NBA is really good at, it's pounding home the point that if you are a top 2 seed, your odds of winning an NBA championship are very, very high. And I just can't shake it. I have Nuggets in 5, but I'm curious to see where you're at with this.
I have Nuggets in 5 as well.
Okay.
So we're on the same page. I was close between 5 and 6. I do think like Spo deserves respect as the best coach in the game. Like I think, coaching's probably overrated like overall to some extent, but I think Spo has shown how invaluable it can be when you have a truly great coach who can make great adjustments on the fly with both your rotation and from a strategy and tactical perspective. So I think this is probably going to be the biggest test it's definitely the biggest test Denver's faced, just in terms of like, obviously it's the biggest series, it's the finals and whatnot. But I think Miami is just the way they've played and going through.